New York City, home to 10 million people. A bustling city, romanticized in the earlier days because of art and culture, and later on would become the blueprint for social transformation. My name is Alex, and I'm a community leader from Brooklyn, New York. Let me tell you a little bit about my home. Once known as a concrete jungle, New York City is now a haven for all of its residents. A genuine sanctuary city for people who left homes and loved ones across the ocean, for those who were born here, and everyone else in between. Our many cultures and customs can be heard in the music that plays in our bodegas and out of our windows, can be tasted from the multiple street vendors that give us a flavor of their lineage, and can be felt in the safety we feel in our homes and in our communities. Our mothers have permanent housing, homes built by their hands, and children who live long enough to inherit the sacred molding of family, who carry the laughter of grandparents who live long years because of consistent health care. Transgender, gender diverse, and queer folks live long and fruitful lives surrounded by freedom and love. Our schools reflect the society that created them. There is an abundance of green space and community gardens. Community members work together to grow food for one another, and folks going hungry is now a thing of the past. But the city wasn't always this oasis for many Black and brown New Yorkers. I grew up hearing stories told by neighborhood elders about violence, hunger, homelessness, losing loved ones to substance use and incarceration, and about Black children who were arrested and given criminal summonses inside of their schools. I know, it's hard to believe that these were the conditions our families lived through, but it's true. To explain, I'll have to take us back to a few decades ago. In the early 2020s, New York City was grappling with many social issues. The median rent was $3,200 and the minimum wage was only $15 an hour. There were 78,000 homeless folks living in parks, subways, streets, and in shelters with terrible conditions. Many more resources were dedicated to expanding broken systems instead of building affordable housing. People couldn't afford to see a doctor for their chronic illness or get medicine. Waiting times were long and medical bills were high. So what changed? A group of organizers and community leaders came together to create a caring and compassionate New Deal for New York City. They knew that in order to transform the city, they needed to get to the root of the issues instead of relying on band-aid solutions. By building strong relationships between elected officials and directly impacted community members, they completely reimagined the role of city government and its approach to delivering social services with a focus on housing, safety, and care for all. Our city began responding to the scale of our social and economic crises and the role that systemic racism played in maintaining the status quo. It was clear that criminalization and incarceration were not solving any problems. Together with community leaders, they realized that the decriminalization of drug use, mental health, sex work, and immigration made it possible to defund the police and carceral system and reinvest those funds into services people needed, like housing, harm reduction, and supportive health services. A new role in the city, the Deputy Mayor for Care and Compassion, was created, whose responsibility was to get the city agencies to begin working together instead of in silos. This caused a ripple effect that started small and eventually laid the foundation for the city I call my home today. The changes were small at first. Community members who were incarcerated came home. Trained mental health professionals began responding to mental health crises instead of the police. Community organizations became safe sites for substance users, and the number of overdoses dramatically dropped. Health insurance became universal, and all community members had access to doctors they trusted and treatment they needed. Believe it or not, guaranteed access to compassionate care became our reality. Homeless New Yorkers were provided temporary safe housing that connected them to livable wage jobs while they waited for permanent placements. And affordable housing was provided for everyone according to their economic situation. Once the residents of New York City had stable and affordable housing, secure and permanent access to care, and were free from the fear of incarceration, they had time, energy, and resources to do so much more. For the first time, people weren't living paycheck to paycheck. People were spending time with their family and friends and living healthier lives. People now have access to homes, land, and wealth that accumulated and grew over generations. New Yorkers experienced firsthand how different life can be when all of your human needs are met. I know it took a lot of hard work, trial and error, and collaboration to dream up this future. The transformation took courage, trust, and a deep belief that change was possible. I am very proud of the city I live in today, a caring and compassionate New York City. What role will you play in getting us to our future?